Hello everybody, welcome to the 10th season of Abraham's Table Farm. I can hardly believe that I'm saying that, 10 seasons. But welcome back. This is the first video of the season. Today is March 20th, so we are very close to the spring equinox and things are just starting to take shape here at the farm. So it's time to start cluing you guys in, showing you what we're doing, and just letting you follow the story of the season this year. This season is our 10th season, as I said, and it is going to be a really big season for us, primarily because we're having a big transition on our team. Jed English, who has been with us for I don't know how many years, 4 or 5, something like that, will be leaving in about a month, and a little more than a month. So he'll be gone early spring. And then Daniel, my brother and garden manager, who has been with us for all 10 years plus, will be leaving at the end of the season as well. And so this season, more than ever, is going to be about a transition to a new team and expanding the team, bringing more people on board, incorporating more people from our community, whatever it takes in order to build that team for this year to continue to run the farm so that we can continue to grow nutritious food and delicious food and feed our community and bring people together around tables of feasting, whether that's in your home or here on the farm. Bring people together for that connection, and it's going to take a whole team. It has always taken a whole team to do that and to run this farm. As you know from watching seasons in the past, there's a ton of work that goes into this and a lot of jobs every day for more than just me, more than I can handle. So this year is going to be all about expanding that team and creating something really sustainable for beyond this season. But before we can even think about next season, this year we've got to produce all the crops in the garden, we've got to raise all the chickens, we've got to raise all the egg layers, we've got to raise beef, we've got to do a lot of things to produce the food this year while we expand that team. So that's what's going to be happening this year, and it's going to take all that we can muster in order to make it happen. We already have most of the team assembled for this season, though we're still open for a few more players. So if you know anybody, let us know. This year, Miriam will be coming back. She was here last year. A new friend, Josh, who has known my family for a long time, will be here coming in about a month, and he will be participating. And like I said, there's still some openings for other people. If you'd like to get involved, if you want to come out to the farm and help out on harvest mornings on Monday, doing some little thing here and there, part-time, whatever it is, please contact us and let us know, because expanding the team, incorporating more people into this process and into this effort is what this year is all about. And so we want to hear from you. And we would be really excited to host another summer worker, 1 or 2. So young people out there, you've got your summers free. If you would like to be here on a farm, working outside with your hands, learning how to raise your own food, whether that's gardening and vegetables or pastures and meats and animals out there. If you want to live communally, if you want to be part of the team, if you want to see what it takes to run a small scale, family scaled, sustainable farm and feed your community, if you would like to produce food that is healing and nutritious, if you would like to produce food that's delicious and delightful and enjoyable to eat, please let us know. Come be a part of that. You will learn a lot about yourself. You will learn a lot about the earth and the natural rhythms of things. You will learn a lot about what you're capable of. You will learn probably about small business and all kinds of things there. You'll learn about relational dynamics and living in community. So there's a ton to learn about. And if that sounds like a fun experience for someone for you, let us know. Come join the team and help us produce this food and connect our communities and build something that is beautiful and enjoyable. So that's the year. But the season has already started for us. Jed, Daniel, and I have been here all winter, working through the winter. We take it slow during the winter. We don't work super intense for a lot of the December and January months. It's a little bit more part-time or slower at least. But the season has been ramping up already. We've got seeds started in the greenhouse. The egg-laying hens are getting ready to go onto pasture. It's still a little bit early and a little bit cold now, but they are usually go out sometime in early April, so that's coming right up. We've ordered chicks, we've ordered beef, we've ordered all of our supplies. Things are starting to develop and start momentum towards those first harvests that are going to come in May. We have collected a little bit of spinach out of the high tunnels for our family to eat, but there will be more and more greens starting to come out of there, and for you guys to order. We still do, of course, have eggs and chicken and beef in the store, so feel free to place those orders now. We're still delivering every Tuesday, so you can be a part of that as well as the season gets going, and then you will be there when the first things drop in the store for you guys. So without any more talk, let's go see what's happening. It does, as you can see, look a little bare behind me. The garden is completely empty. Last year, we worked really hard to spread a ton of compost on all of these beds and to inoculate the beds with some biology that has been working slowly in the cold weather all winter long. That's a really critical part of building deep fertility, is having that inoculation process happen in the fall so that it has the entire winter underground to develop and build the nutrients for the plants. And so in the past, we've always spread our compost in the spring. This year we did it in the fall. We have a little more to do here in the spring, but we're hoping that's going to continue to make improvements on our crop health. We're really excited this year to take that up to the next level. We've been really pushing it every season and getting better and better, and we've got some things up our sleeves to pull out this year and make it top notch. So the garden is still completely empty, but underground there's a lot of activity happening to build that fertility. We're excited to see how it turns out. But inside the tunnels, this tunnel and one of the tunnels over there, we have already prepped some beds. We have already planted some beds. I'll show you those beds. They just look beautiful, but nothing has germinated yet. They're just waiting to come up, but pretty soon the first crops will be sprouting and starting to grow. The greenhouse, which is over there, is heated by the sun these days. We have plenty of sun right now, and it's warm, and there's a lot of seedlings in there. We'll see that. And I'll go see the egg layers and the brooder, which we are prepping ahead of time for the first batch of chicks. And then we're also rebuilding our pasture coop for the egg layers. And I'll show you that real quick. So let's head to the greenhouse first, then we'll hit the high tunnels and then go oversee the chickens. Let's go. Okay, here we are in the greenhouse. As you can see, a lot of plants in here. We've got this fake partition, not fake, but a partition here halfway through the tunnel so that we're only heating half of the tunnel. It's still really cold at night, and we don't want to spend a bunch of propane on the heater heating a huge tunnel when only part of it is filled with plants. But what you can see here is mostly onions and leeks. Onions and leeks take a long time to mature, and so we start them really early. They're also fairly hardy, so we can get them out in the early spring when it's still chilly outside. So we start them really early to compensate for that long, slow growth, and getting them out there early will mean we'll have them later in the season, and you'll have that. We still have storage onions from last year, which is great. We've been trying with our storage crops to have just enough to get all the way through the year before the new crops come in, and it looks like we've done that with the onions, but just barely. We're kind of running out, so it's getting pretty close there. But a lot of onions. Each one of these trays has at least 128 cells in it, and each cell in many cases has multiple onion plants in it, so there's thousands of onion plants here that will be going out and be planted later on. But right now it's warm, it's nice in here. Got more plants along the side here that are germinating on heat lamps. You can see we've got nice lights still strung up here from when we had our early spring feast. The first night when we cranked up the heater and got it warm in here, we set out tables. There were no crops in here yet. We set out tables and we had a big feast in here, and that was really fun in the dark early spring evening with a heated bubble and twinkle lights. So it was really nice to have a feast, and that's how we started off the greenhouse season. But now it's completely full of crops, at least this portion of it is, and pretty soon we'll be taking down that partition and starting more seeds out there. So we really are doing a lot of greenhouse work here, a lot of seeds starting every single week. Debbie is working on that primarily, and just getting those started. And another really exciting thing is that we started our tomatoes this week. That's a big, important crop for us, and it's a very delicious one. As you know, the tomatoes are awesome. And we actually have those in the basement right now because it's a little stabler temperatures and we can monitor their humidity a little bit better. And it's really critical that we do that because we graft our tomatoes. So I'll take you down into the basement real quick and you can see the tomato plants that are just popping up right now. They're barely started, but that is a really important crop, and it's just starting now here in March. You're not going to hear about it until it's harvestable in late June, sometime in late June. So months later, you will finally get your first tomato. But we're already thinking about it and working on it right now for that harvest down the road. So let's go see the tomato plants in the basement before we head out to the high tunnels. If you've ever wondered where we house our office here on the farm, it's down in our basement. Come with me. Here I am in the basement. This is our office back here. Jed and Daniel are working on something. And here are all of our tomato plants under grow lights on shelves. We get them started in here on heat mats where they can germinate with a little light to help them go. And once they're bigger and more sturdy, we move them out into the greenhouse. I'll get up close and you can see all those little plants coming up. Those are the root stock for our tomatoes. Up here, we will have the top stalk, which has been seeded but hasn't come up right now. So those tiny little plants right there are going to grow into small tomato plants. When they're about this big, we will chop off the tops, replace it with the fruiting stalk, and that grafted tomato plant with one type of root and another type of fruiting top will become our tomato plants in the garden. And it will be another 90 days before we have the first fruits. But we take these plants pretty seriously. We do extra effort to make sure they are healthy and robust and fruit really well. We make sure that they have fertility in the garden and all of that because the tomato is such an important crop for us. It makes us a good amount of revenue because tomatoes are popular and people buy them. And they're great to eat. They go in all kinds of things. We make all kinds of sauce and stuff that we freeze, and then we use them all summer in all kinds of dishes. One of our favorites is the tomato galette, which is like a tomato summer pie pastry. And we always have those with some of the first tomatoes of the year, and I'm sure we will do that again this year, but that won't be till probably late June or July that we will have those tomatoes, probably July. And so there's a lot of work yet to be done. These have to grow, they have to be grafted, they have to survive the grafting process, they have to be potted up into larger pots, they have to be transplanted out into the high tunnels where they have to be trellised up onto a wire, they have to be pruned and suckered for several weeks, and all of that before the plants will yield tomatoes in the middle of summer. So that's just starting here now with these little guys just germinating in the cold days of March. So stay tuned for that process to unfold over the course of the season. Okay, here I am in that far high tunnel at the end of the garden, and I just wanted to show you the perfectly prepped beds. These have already been seeded with ground sows, spinach and lettuces and carrots, all the first crops that come out of the garden. They are in there. Seeds are probably starting to germinate, and that's great. These tunnels get very warm in this time of year when the sun is out, but they're very cool and cold even at night. Not much warmer, just a handful of degrees warmer than the nighttime ambient temperatures outside. And so we can't really grow warm things in them because we don't have extra heat through the night, but cool season crops can definitely get a head start and can grow really slowly in the cold weather, protected cold weather here in these high tunnels. So these are seeded. These will be some of the first harvests that will come out of the garden. And I wish you guys could be here and to smell the smell of the soil. It just smells so good after the long winter. It's not frozen in here. Everything is crumbly and black, and it feels really good to plunge your hands into really soft, friable soil and to smell that earthy smell after a long winter. So we're excited that they're planted. It'll be a while before they come up, and it'll be a while more till they're growing and mature, but those are your first harvests that are coming in May. So again, months in advance, we're starting the process. There's not a lot to look at right now, but we have faith and hope that it will unfold and there will be food and abundance, flavor and nutrition for you coming in May. So stay tuned for that too. Before we make it over to the chicken tunnel, I just wanted to stop and show you these panels. This is a walk-in fridge freezer that we bought off Facebook Marketplace the last week. If you followed the newsletter, you would have seen the pictures of this coming to the farm. But all these panels need to be stood up and put together into a walk-in cooler for all the produce that we grow this year. Past seasons we've been using this trailer, which has a refrigeration unit on it to make it into a walk-in fridge, but we're basically outgrowing it last year. It was jam-packed on the busy weeks and we could barely fit in it, all the stuff in it, and it wasn't holding temperature the way we wanted to. It was struggling to keep things as cold as they should have been. And so we had just maxed it out. It was working as hard as it could to keep the temperatures down, and we were working hard to Jenga and Tetris everything in there all the time. So it's time for something bigger. So we bought these panels, and over the next several weeks we're going to be setting those up so that we can harvest more, store it better before we deliver it to you guys. So watch that project unfold in the next couple weeks as well. I'm here in our chicken tunnel. This is where we house the chickens in the winter time. It's a great way to house chickens through the winter, even in a Minnesota winter, because if there's a bright sun, it warms up in here really nicely. It also keeps everything dry and airy. There's no wind, but it's completely dry, very sunny. There's not a lot of dark, dank, cold, wet corners, which are often the case in chicken houses in the winter. We take wood shavings and we lay them down on the ground so that it's very dry on the ground. It absorbs all their manure. We like it as fluffy as possible. You can see them all there crowded by the door because they think I'm bringing them food. We also have some guardian geese, and this guardian geese has been separated because it's got a bloody wound on its foot, and if it's in with the chickens will peck at it. So till it's healed, it is brought out here for today. And this is actually the brooder for our chicks. When our meat chickens arrive in the mail, which will be in a little over a month, they will be first in a very small brooder, which is right outside the door here. But as soon as they're like a week old, they'll come out into this space where they can spread out a little more. There's this propane heater, which creates a space of heat for them to gather under when they're chilly at night. It's predator proof. We line the bottom with chicken wire to keep rats or any predators out. And there's chicken wire going all the way up over the top. So just a total chicken wire cage that they live in. But this is where our meat birds will be raised for the first couple weeks of their life. The other end of the tunnel is where the egg layers stay all winter. And they're actually up in this room during most of the winter. But since we're getting close to the meat birds arriving, we wanted to take them out and prep this space. So the chickens are up there. They've got roll-away nest boxes, which you can see hanging on the walls there where they lay their eggs. They get fed way back in the back. They've got roost bars. As you can see, it's pleasant to be out here. It's dry, it's sunny, it's comfortable for them. But they have a couple more weeks before they're gonna move out onto pasture. There's no grass growth out there yet, and it's still pretty cold at night. But in just a few weeks, probably less than a month, sometime in early April, they're gonna be moving out onto pasture. And if you've been getting our eggs for weeks, you will notice a difference. When they are on pasture and start to eat those young, tender grass shoots, the yolks will become darker yellow. So stay tuned for that. The eggs are already great. We love our eggs. They're the best eggs we can find anywhere. But they are even better as soon as the birds go out onto pasture. So stay tuned for that. You'll be getting some even better eggs in just a couple weeks. And we're just waiting for the weather to turn so that the birds aren't in too much stress when they go out there. Let's go see the coop, which we're working on now to make sure it's ready for them when it's time to get out on pasture. This is our pasture coop. This is what all of those egg-laying hens, which you just saw in their winter housing, will live in on pasture all summer long as the weather is good enough. It doesn't look like much right now, and that's because we've taken the skin off and we're making some repairs and adjustments to it. Our flock expanded a little bit over the winter, and so we're making this ready to hold a few more birds before it goes out on pasture. For the last many years, for the last 9 years, as long as we've been farming, we've relied on a coop small enough to move by hand because I think human scaled work is really important and valuable, and I wanted to see how much we could do without using big machinery. Machinery depreciates and falls apart and rusts over time, and so I like to minimize my use of machinery and equipment whenever possible and try to solve as many problems through problem solving and management and timing and careful attention to detail before I launch into using technology to solve the same problem. And so for years we've used a small, compact, lightweight coop to move the birds around on pasture, and I love that, and I'm still pretty dedicated to that. But this year we'll actually be getting a four-wheeler to move this around because it was just becoming a pain in the butt to move by hand. Some of us around the farm could move it by ourselves, but it was pretty heavy even for the strongest of us. And so moving it up a hill was very difficult unless there was at least two people. So we'll have a four-wheeler to drag it around, but it's still remaining very light, very simple infrastructure here on the farm, as is everything we do here on the farm. So you can see roosting bars diagonally so that the birds can be all over that at night. During the day, they're out in the field hunting and pecking for bugs and hunting through cow pies. A mesh floor is really critical so that all of their droppings, especially at night, fall through the floor and onto the pasture where they're fertilizer. We want manure on pasture, not accumulating in their living conditions, of course. So a mesh floor is really critical for that. The nest boxes are moved into this so that they can lay their eggs in a protected inside environment, and we collect eggs directly out of the coop every single day. This thing is built on wheels, which you can see right there. This is an old pop-up camper frame that we got a long time ago, old rusty thing, and it's built on that so that we can tow it around. It's got these jacks on the corners. We're actually replacing the jacks this year so that we can level the coop, which is really critical. It stands on its jack feet during the day in level so that the rollaway nest boxes are at the right slope for the eggs to roll out of the way and stay clean. So nice, easy to use jacks are critical to level it. Wheels are critical for moving it. Roosting bars are critical at night. Nest boxes are critical for eggs. And then it's got these arches of pipe, just like a greenhouse, that create the roof. We put skin of greenhouse film over that so that in the day it can warm up for them in chilly weather, and then we can vent that so that it's nice and cool and breezy in the summertime. But it creates a very light coop because it's mostly just skin stretched over these arches. So it's a very light coop all in all, and it can hold 250, 300 chickens. You just walk down the middle underneath the roost bars to collect eggs. The egg nest boxes will be lined up in there, and this whole thing isn't too heavy. Nice and light, simple, cheap infrastructure, but keeps the birds dry, keeps them warm when it's chilly, keeps them comfortable. It'll be predator proofed all around. We have had difficulty with owls in the past, and they are very difficult to overcome because fences don't keep them out. So as soon as the birds are out and exposed, the owls will get them. Owls were even entering the coop up in the peak and killing birds at night and then exiting again. So we've got to make sure it's predator proof. But all that is happening right now. We're working on revamping this, getting it going for another season, making some tweaks so that we can continue to raise those birds on pasture where they're happy and content and healthy and have a rich diet of bugs and grass and living green things, not just a grain diet. We think all of that is critical for having very healthy chickens, which is critical for having healthy, nutritious eggs, but also just important for the flock to be healthy so that we don't succumb to diseases and stuff. And we think that raising them on pasture, out in the open, the fresh air, is what it takes. And we've never really had serious health problems with any of our birds, so it's working so far, and we're going to keep doing it. But yeah, revamping the coop is going on now. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in for the season. We're really excited to get going. We're excited to have you along for the ride. We need your help if we're going to keep farming. We need you to buy our food and eat it so that we can make an income doing this. We need you to get the word out for more CSA members because our harvests just go up every single year. The same garden space produces more abundance every single year. And so we need you to tell your friends so that everyone can get a piece of this food. And we need your help spreading the word about workers so that we can have a full team this year and so that we can have an expanded team for next year when everything changes. That's really critical. So if you know somebody who might want to come out, let us know. But we are excited to be doing this again. We really believe in farming. We really believe in feeding our community nourishing food that helps people's bodies be more whole. We believe in people coming together around dinner tables to fellowship with each other, to get to know each other at a deeper level, to stop all the busyness, to push away the noise and the news and the social media and all the busy entertainment that so clogs our minds, and to be present in reality, in the season, in the time and place that you're at, and connecting with people who matter to you. We believe in all that, and we think that producing this healthy, nourishing food and bringing it to people to eat is a valuable way that we can push the culture in a good way. And we hope that you want to be a part of that as well, and that you will support this type of farming, this type of work, this type of simple agrarian, agricultural, sustainable work that produces that life-giving food. And we are excited to have you with us. So stay tuned. A lot is happening, and it's all starting right now. Everything from here just expands throughout the season. So tune in next week for another video and watch it slowly unfold until we are filling trailer after trailer with tons and tons of food, and we're feasting on huge, delicious meals that are full of the food that's coming out of this piece of property. So stay tuned over the next 30 odd weeks as we make our cycle around the sun and do it all again. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.